Hello, hello, YouTube. Hello, everybody on Twitch. Hopefully that was an interesting and helpful video. For those who are watching after the fact, guys, we just watched our Nightblade, the ultimate guide to Nightblade tanking here, and Nani and myself and a bunch of other people. And so now we're going to chat about it. But before we get there, Nani, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can. I just wanted to kind of give everybody the story and kind of tell them why we're doing this and what has led to this event. So you became interested in tanking a little while ago. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I run a lot of training progs for That Wasn't the Boss. One of the challenges is I'm just a DPS main. So I really wanted to learn if I'm going to run a training, how can I help the tanks? And then later on, work on healers. But I just wanted to understand things from their perspective so I can be more of an assistance when we're running through all of these vet trials.
Awesome. Yeah, exactly. And you know, for a new tank, I actually made a one bar Nightblade build, and this is when some changes happened not too long ago. And the really cool thing about the Nightblade tank is that because of our Dark Cloak, we can get Major Resolve with one button and a heal over time, and get minor protection. And then we have three skills that we can slot on our back bar that will all benefit us while on our front bar. And so it's not an Okenzo build. It's a normal build. It's just one bar, and it does everything that it needs to do. Hey Nudge, hey Lyriel, hey Nani, thanks for dropping in a comment. Saying hello to everybody, appreciate you. Uh, I know Casual and a bunch of other people are watching as well. Guys, hello and welcome to everybody. The thing with the one bar Nightblade tank build, and I just want to tell you guys this so you know the situation, you know what's going on, not to throw shade on anybody. But whenever I did that build, there were people that had asked me to link my videos in their Discord because they thought they were helpful. Whenever I did the one bar tank build, they asked me to stop. And you know, management had changed a little bit, and it wasn't they were very nice about it. The person who asked me was kind of apologetic or what have you, but they didn't want people in their Discord running a one bar build. Now, that's here or there. But the one bar Nightblade tank build, Nani was running it the other day with hard mode Kynes Aegis, a very hard hitting trial, and did quite did exceptionally well with it, and it still does just about everything you need. Now, at some point, you do want. I don't necessarily recommend everybody go run hard mode Kynes Aegis with a one bar build. You absolutely can, but just realize at some point you will want more skills, and you just need more spots on your. You just need more bar space, and it can be very helpful. You can also single bar sets and make your life a little bit easier. And so you might want to move to a two bar build. But starting with a one bar Nightblade build, and I will update that one before too long here, but it's still really good. Then moving to a two bar build. And then, you know, a lot of people are like, well, when you get into optimal content, everybody's going to want you to run whatever. The truth of the matter is that when you get into optimal content, or if you're running with groups that are particularly sweaty, they're going to tell you to come on whatever class is meta at the time. And that might be a Dragon Knight. It also might be a Templar or a Warden or whatever. Or they might say, hey, for this one trial, we want you to come on a Sorcerer. By the time you get to that point, you're probably going to have more than one tank. And you're just going to do whatever you need to do. So, you know, if your group really is not going to be okay with that, that's okay. But there's actually no real reason for it now. In an optimized group, yes, you want certain things in certain places. I've done a ton of videos on that and you know, talked about it ad nauseum, but just realize kind of where it's at. All right. I just wanted to get that out of the way because there's a lot of people that'll say, hey, you know, you can't run a one bar build. No one wants a Nightblade tank or whatever. And that thinking is honestly, it's pretty dated, and it was questionable to begin with in a lot of situations. So I just
Do you
wanted
mind
to
if
cover it.
do you mind if I chime in on that
Oh,
topic?
please, please.
So, as someone who's never tanked in any MMO I've ever played, it was very intimidating. And the one bar Nightblade tank has made tanking fun for me. It was something that was easy for me to learn. Um, Very simple steps. And yes, we did the hard mode with Heinz Aegis, which was also a lot of fun because I learned what I am capable of. and it's the 1 bar tank that was simple and easy to understand, and then it became a 1.5 bar because in other situations this would have been nice or that would have been nice. And so I think it's a great way for people to get introduced to tanking. If it looks intimidating, this is a great start.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great to hear. And yeah, obviously I agree. Hey Robert, what's going on? Welcome to the stream, man. All right. Well, Nani, I'm hoping you have questions because if you're like, nope, you covered it. I don't know. We'll have to audible what we're going to talk about. Also, actually, before we get into that, guys, you can see I have it up on screen here. This is the website. All right, nighthorrorgaming.com. This is where you can find it. The website is still a work in progress, like just updating this Nightblade build. I realized, hey, there's a few things that weren't displaying properly. Do me a favor. If you have any of those issues or whatever, or if you ever find like, hey, the site's down for some reason, kick if we're friends and we're in the Discord, at me or kick me a DM and let me know because it's a small one man shop here. 1.5. I've got somebody helping me, and you know, just stuff can happen. But let me know, and we'd always try to make it better. But just to kind of show you around real quick before we get to those questions and chatting. Also, guys, if you have questions about any tanking thing more generally, or specifically about the Nightblade, please just let me know. But yeah, let me pop over. There we go. So I got a couple of tabs open here. You can see all the classes and what have you. There's also drop-down menus over here, so hopefully you can get to everything. These traits, gear, champion points, food, race, classes, and potions. This will give you all the basics, guys. If you have someone who you need to know, or they don't know about like how food works and why you want to use it, they don't know about potion or the medicinal use CP or whatever, this should answer your basic questions just in text format. And then if you go to like a Nightblade, for example, you can see that we have our new tank build right here. You can see a little bit different text there, so that's how you can tell it's new. But then we also have like a Magic and Nightblade, the Nightblade Healer, and then the Stand Blade from before. And again, this is for all classes. And then once you click on it, it'll actually bring you here. This is the card, guys. You can download this from the website and just have it. Okay, it's just there, so you can download it and have it if you need it for reference. And then here you've got all the skills. You can mouse over and it'll pop up the tooltip for you. Again, this is kind of stuff that you might find one that's broken. Just let me know if you wouldn't mind. But it should give you all the important information. So yeah, like here, extra skills. For some reason these icons aren't displaying. We got to work on it, but for the most part, it should be everything you need. So, yeah, it's there for you if you need it. All right, let me see here. We got some chat. My difficulty with tanking is that there are so many dungeons and mechanics to learn just to get past the dungeon tanking part. Then trials on top of that. Yeah, that's fair, Robert. I mean, it's not trivial, that's for sure. And then Cephalon says says hello. Hey, what's up? What's up, Don? I'm buying sweets. Okay, all right, Ben. Well, cool. Thanks for dropping in to saying hi. Nani, do you got any questions for me?
Um, Not a ton of questions, but I do have one request. When you're making your videos,
Yeah.
tell us where the skills come from. I spend a ton of time going, okay, I need this skill, but where do I find it? Is it in Mages? Is it in Undaunted? Is it so um that's just food for thought. But I thought it was done really well. I've got all the skills that you have assigned. I have a couple that I still need to get um, leveled up, but I have them all ready to go. So I thought it was very thorough.
Cool. Well, thank you. I'm glad. I'm glad the time investment. I will try to work on that. I I think I could probably do that just to say when I'm introducing a skill where it's coming from and what have you. Would the individual class skill line need to be stated, or would just like this is a class skill be sufficient?
Yeah, no, it's particularly like the Undaunted, it's like you need the blood altar. Well, where's the altar at? I just one of them, but
Sure,
anything
sure.
that isn't a class skill, it would be helpful for those of us that aren't as familiar with all of the different skill lines yet.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Another thing here that at least to provide a little bit of help, if you do go
Hmm.
to the website and you mouse over these guys, it won't tell you everything, but some of the skills all the skills, it'll tell you what the unmorphed version is, and that can be very helpful too, because some of them are the same and the icon looks mostly the same, and then some of them will be totally different. So that's one way you can find this. But yeah, I totally get that pain. That has been a problem before. So thanks for the feedback there. Guys, also, if you ever have any feedback on any of this stuff, definitely throw it out there. I would certainly appreciate it. Use UESP, Robert. Yeah, absolutely. And that's Robert Harden. Yeah, that's a great website as well to look up stuff if you're looking for buffs and debuffs and everything else like that. It's really great. Yeah, okay. So that Robert Miller is also saying that yeah he agrees. He agrees with that. He finds the same problem. Okay, that's duly noted.
I
Well,
do like the combination though, Knight, that you because the video along with the website fills in a lot of gaps also.
okay, good. Yeah, the whole purpose of making these like cards for everybody, and I know Nani, you know this, but just for everybody else, like was I am just trying to provide the most value I can to you guys and be the most helpful I can be. This takes a lot of extra work and obviously no clicks, from YouTube to generate ad revenue or anything like this, but that's the goal as much as I can. So my my master plan is to just try to provide as much value to you guys as you can, and then hopefully down the line as we're doing other stuff, you guys are like, yeah, I like this guy because he's provided some useful things for me. So yeah, I'll always try to continue iterating on that. Well, we could talk more about these taunts. These taunts are out of control right now for tanks. We could also chat a little bit more about the sword and board skills, I suppose we want. One of the things, Nani, that I've thought about doing for a long time, and I might be putting you on the spot a little bit here, but I bet you can take it, is watching a video and getting, and I've actually had people like send me videos and I'm like, what am I doing wrong kind of thing, or what could I do better? And maybe doing something like that on stream where we look. For those who didn't see the run last night, I got invited kind of spur of the moment to a DSR hard mode group. And if you want to see the process that you want to go through, I guess I don't talk about it a whole lot in the video, but the process of how you figure out what skills you're going to put on your bar and figuring all that stuff out, that's what I went through last night because I was not prepared for it. I did not have bars set up and everything else. And that iterative process of like when I should put what skill on my bar. And so we could look at that and maybe talk about it. And we can also point out where I'm failing to cast skills, where I should be doing other things. But I'm interested in having some folks maybe send in, maybe Nani, you'd be up for recording yourself and kicking me a video and we could kind of walk through it and talk about, where some of the tanking stuff could improve. Would you be, I know it's a scary thought. Would you be
Oh
up for
no, I
doing
don't
that?
care. I'm happy to do it. I want to learn. I want to learn and get better at what I'm doing. So, um, that's one of the things that I need to learn. Well, every time I've tanked, you've been there with me. So it's been, I've got kind of a little crutch. But if I'm thrown out there on my own, I don't know how to identify, okay, we're in Kind's Aegis. What skills are going to be the most helpful in what situations? I don't have that understanding yet, being, I've tanked less than a half a dozen times now. Um, so learning that skill would be very helpful.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and we can actually talk about it a little bit here if that sounds fun. Just to
Please.
kind of go through it. Yeah, so you know, one of the things here with these skills, right? Because I'm making, so this is the ultimate, right? I'm gonna make a basic one where there's no flex spots on the bar, hopefully, and just kind of simplify things. Having something like our warding contingency here. This is an amazing skill. Love that they added this so that all tanking classes. This is a game changer for the classes that didn't have, making them so much more easy and accessible. Nightblade tanking used to be more challenging because you had to keep up all your hots. And anyways, warding contingency is amazing. The thing is that like if you're in an optimal group, you're not taking damage. You want to generate more ultimate. And that's what everybody's going to want you to do. So that's where these kind of things come in. Last night I was in a situation when I went into a trial, and honestly, I'll save that. We can actually maybe walk through that at another time, or if we have time here. But that's kind of the choice here. Similarly with Flare, where it's like a situation where like, well, if you need to chain in something, you need to put this on your bar. Are you getting hit hard enough that you're worried about dying pretty quickly? If the answer is yes, then you want to leave flare on your bar. If the answer is no, then you can swap it out. I was in a situation last night on hard mode Teleria where I actually put, and I said I wouldn't do this, but I actually, but I actually put this chain on my back bar, and I was just using it on Teleria to proc Major Maim to reduce her damage done by 10%. And so that was a situation where if I wasn't on the Nightblade, but if I would have been, you know, and I was running Flare because I'm worried about dying on Teleria. She hits really hard, and I also want Ward and Contingency, and these other three skills I'm not swapping out. So I put it on my back bar, and that's what you'd want to do in those particular situations. The other thing is that the optimal taunt right now for most situations for most people is going to be Inner Rage. And the reason for that is because we don't necessarily need our frost taunt anymore because we get Major Maim. We can get it, like I said, from our chain or from some other source. And so the extra synergies for the group are awesome. Now, having double ice staffs is preferable, and I true to form, I'm just realizing that I said front bar sword and board, but it's really flex there. But having double ice staffs, keeping up your elemental susceptibility is absolutely huge, and that'll help keep all kinds of buffs that will both reduce the damage done by the boss and also increase the damage done. If you have two tanks with elemental susceptibility and ice walls and double ice staffs down on a boss, it'll keep up minor brittle 100% of the time, basically, or close to it. So that's something to think about. Nani, I know you have more questions. How could we best address those situations where, like, I'm not sure what to do here? Do we walk through it? Do we just like, I'm not sure how
Actu-
best.
Actually, what you just said was huge for me because I was going to ask about the brittle. Um, so you just answered a big one for me. The other thing that I do, and it'll take time for me to learn and understand all of this, but I keep your card up on my other screen so
Nice.
that I can see what the other skills are that I have for options because my brain hasn't quite retained all of that yet. So I've got it handy. The card is, yeah. And I've done that with other builds as well as I'm getting used to them. I've been thinking about your the Warden Brittle
Yeah, the
that
Riddleton.
we
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Yeah, the Brittleton. So it just helps keep that visual for me. So if I run into something and I'm dying, what do I need to do? And I don't always have my crutch in the night harrow at my side.
don't
I
have,
can
don't
look
always
it
have
up.
your pocket night hero with you.
Yeah, I don't have my pocket night harrow.
Okay, cool. Cool. I'm glad it's helpful. Yeah. So a situation, just to give you kind of the broad strokes of yesterday evening, right? So I was called into a group, right? And I haven't been in hard mode Dread Cell Reef in like a year. And but however, I have done a lot of it. At one point, I was doing like 4 times a week with two different groups, and so I've been in there a lot, right? But still, even with that, right, I have all this knowledge, got all this experience in there. Given it's been a little bit, but when I first went in there, all I was trying to do was not kill the group. Okay. And that's a perfectly fine thing to do. I wasn't worried about buff up times. I wasn't worried about really anything. And besides, not killing the group. And part of that is not dying. So that's what I was worried about. And then and this is like over the course of the trial, okay? And this happens, this same process, guys, happens over the course of days and weeks, but it also happens over the course of a trial sometimes. Now, so we were doing the first boss, the twins, differently than I've done it before because again, my methods are a little bit outdated at this point. What I was doing, over a year ago, and so it's like, okay, well, what am I doing? What am I going to do? And again, not really worried about buffs. Just trying not to kill the group. Yeah, sure, I'm trying to proc the buffs I can, but I'm just trying not to kill the group. Then at some point, it's like, okay, I'm a little bit more comfortable getting in the rhythm. Oh, yeah, I'm remembering stuff now that I've been in here for a little bit. What could I do? Oh, okay, yeah, I'm remembering. Because, being like, hey, what skills should I use on the second boss in Kind's Aegis? And I'm like, I don't know. If you're sitting there staring at the first boss of Kind's Aegis, or if you're in the middle of a pool, you're like, oh, man, sure would be nice if I had this skill that I don't have on my bar right now. It comes to you pretty easily. And so going through the whole trial is like, okay, cool. Well, I can swap this out. I can swap this out. And getting to that point. Another thing here, I just want to really emphasize because I actually from last night changed my view on this even more. So I was tanking Teleria, right? Hard mode,
Yeah.
Dread Cell Reef. She hits really hard. Now, Warden contingency has changed the game. It makes that fight so much easier. It's ridiculous. So that's awesome. But I I asked the group, I was like, hey, am I going to be getting synergies over here? Should I run Harmony? And they're like, yeah, basically yes. And so I swapped to some Harmony jewelry. I was not getting as many synergies as I had hoped, and I was running out of resources and then dying. Okay, so that sucks. Luckily, I was just like, oh my god, I'm going to die. Most of the time, I didn't die, or at least by the time I did die, most of the group was dead. So it wasn't like I was wiping the group. We were kind of heading that way beforehand. I swapped back to infused jewelry, and everything was fine. And so I just want to like triple, quadruple down on sure Harmony can be great. There's a few places where it's really good, like in Kind's Aegis hard mode on the third floor where you're just holding block the whole time. Sure, it it is nice because you can get back a lot of stamina by using synergies. But even in a group, doing hard mode, Dread Cell Reef did a good job. They're still working, they're still progging. It was still helpful for me because if the whole group is new and the whole group is struggling to do what they're doing, they might not be tossing you all the synergies in the world. And so if you just learn how to live with Infuse, because you can get more than enough resources to stay alive and keep up all of your buffs, then Infused is good enough. And I just can't say this enough. So many people try to do what the sweatiest people in the game are doing, and it's like, well, this person who did a trifecta of this thing and is score pushing and has the highest score in the game uses something, uses this skill, so I'm going to use this skill. That's just crazy talk. That's like, hey, I want to drive fast, so I got an Indy car. And it's like you're just gonna kill yourself. What are you doing? You're like you're just driving to work. You don't need a race car to drive to work. And I think it's kind of the same thing. In those groups, they even drop heals sometimes so that they can do other things with their bar because they know that the healer will keep them up 100% of the time. I was rezzing people last night on Teleria hard mode while main tanking, okay? Without without spirit mastery, which sucked. That's the situation that most people are going to face. No, everybody is going to face whenever you're trying more difficult content. So infused, again, I just can't say it enough. The same thing on resistances. I've been seeing recently, and I want to do a video, just kind of a short video, just kind of talking about this, but tanks not at resistance cap. Guys, you got to get to resistance cap. It's huge. It's really important. You'll be fine for a long time, and then you'll get to harder content, and you'll be like, your healers are like, you're taking a lot of damage. Is there something? Are you good over there? And you're like, yeah, I'm almost dying every single time. You don't know why. And we go through and check everything, and it turns out that you're 5,000, points below resistance cap or something. You got to get to resistance cap. It's really important. You won't notice it at first. It won't matter at first, but it will later on. And again, you can play any race you want. That's the other thing. Everybody says like, oh, it's got to be an Ord. It's got to be an Ord. There is like one situation where this is even more like being a Nord is really important, where if you're going to permanently magma shell, but it's like nobody's doing that. Most people are not doing that. And that is so hard to do that like it's also self-limiting. Like, someone's like, oh, well, you might want to permanently magma shell one day. And it's like, well, I might want to, compete in the Daytona 500 one day too. It's like,
Well, that actually brings up a question with the resistance cap, and it was a question from the video because my Nightblade is not at resistance. She's at 22K, so she's 10K under what she needs to be, and I don't know why.
is that while buffed?
No.
Yeah, so with buffs, with major and minor resolve, that's going to be 9,000 right there.
Okay, so
So,
when we get into trials later, we should test that just so I can see it.
well, you can actually test it for yourself if you just hit your Dark Cloak and then hit something that will provide you with minor resolve, which could be either morph of blur, which would be mirage, or phantasmal escape. That's the skill in the back bar. That's the second skill there.
Yeah, I've got it.
Or
All
you could
right.
do resolving vigor. Both of those provide minor resolve, but hit those two. And let me
Okay.
let me catch up on some comments here. Harmony sounds like something highly experienced tanks and groups. Robert, what I'm saying though, man, is I know people that do trifectas and have try sometimes to do score and no, not try. I know people that do score pushing and they run infused. And the reason is if you have all the magic you need, what does more give you? Nothing, right? And if you run infused, everything's always the same and you're always good as long as you're managing your own resources. Having harmony is like, I can't tell you how many times people have been screaming out, I need a synergy, I need a synergy. And I just don't think it's the best thing for 99.9%. Yeah, absolutely. If you're in a group, man, I am agreeing with you that like if you're in a group where you know they're going to get you those synergies. They're going to get you whatever you need. You're going to be, yeah, that's great. It is better, and you'll be chilling. You'll be able to cast even more skills. Maybe you can DPS as a tank or what have you, which is what the hardcore score pushers do with it. But again, this is an area where, like, for the 3 people doing that in the game, literally probably less than 10, that's great for. But it's just weird that everybody wants to do that. And I don't know how to get this through people's head. Another thing that happens too is that in game, people talk about in game being toxic. The reason that people say in game ESO is toxic is because for the longest time it has been. And with that, there's a lot of other people though. It's not just one group of people that are not that are really cool, really nice, and are just trying to help and whatever. But that toxic element, what they'll do is they'll if I offer advice that's really good for most people, and I say that's what I'm trying to do, and it's not completely optimal, they will say Night Haro does dog water builds because it does theoretically 5 or 10k less maximum damage, and that's kind of what they do. And they'll be like, oh, Nightblade tanks, this is garbage, and this person is garbage because they would ever suggest you would play a Nightblade tank. And kind of that's what they do, and they're trying to gatekeep. And unfortunately there's enough of them and the community is so small that historically this has worked. I will say that over the past couple of years a lot of those people have left in game. Some of them are still here, but a lot of them have actually left, thank goodness.
Yes.
uh
So
Rob, oh, go ahead.
so my resistance goes to 28.6 with those 2 buffs.
Okay, cool. And I'm guessing you're not running reinforced on your gear.
I am.
You are. You're all reinforced.
I am all reinforced except for 2 sturdies.
Okay,
I
cool.
have my shoulders and my sleeves.
Okay. The shoulders would help a little bit, but it's not going to do a ton. Do you have both bulwark and fortified red CP? One
I
red, one
do.
blue. Okay.
Yes.
Do you have all of your passives?
That's a good question. This is
Heavy
what I need
armor
you
skill
for.
line. Are you also running all heavy armor as well?
I am. Yep.
Okay.
Naz, Ellie, and Sacks for weapons and jewelry, and I'm double ice staffed.
Your monster sets are all heavy.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Naz.
Okay.
Heavy, heavy.
Yep.
Yeah, let me just double check to make sure. Yep,
Okay,
heavy
all right.
and heavy. Yep.
Okay, okay.
I always got to check myself.
Yeah, yeah.
What was I looking at? Okay, CP is correct. I just have those 2 pieces that are sturdy. Everything else is reinforced.
Okay. So I'm trying to think of where else we should be looking to make sure that we've got everything. What race are you?
Khajiit?
Khajiit, nice. All right, I like it. I like it. Double check, proc both those buffs again, and then
Okay.
you've got a weapon on and everything. All your gear's good.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yep.
And then and just double check what you're at.
28,651, and then critical 1320.
Okay. Yeah. Let me. I'm actually going to pull up our calculator over here.
Okay.
So one of the things you can do, and it won't quite get you there because I think we're missing a source from some location.
Okay.
But one of the things you can do is either run a defending trait on your front bar, and or run since you can back bar both of the sets that you need, you can actually run fortified brass on your front bar. Are you running sword? Are you planning on running sword and board or double eye staff? Probably just double eye staffing since you've been doing that already, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So what you can do is actually just run fortified brass staff on your front bar. The fortified staff front bar should give you about 1,500 resistances, and then the defensive trait will give you like another over 3,000. So that'll well put you over. You will be pretty low on your back bar. The only other thing, so I'm not sure what reinforced, how much it's going to give you. I want to say it's going to be, I want to say like 6 to 800. What is what you'll get if you do reinforced on your shoulder? Not going to make or
Okay.
break anything, but yeah, if you do defensive or fortified brass on your front bar, that will easily solve your problem. And you won't be at at cap on your back bar, but you want to be on your front bar 75% of the time anyways, and that should be good enough there.
So is that an enchant? The 45?
It is the trait. So on your
The
front
trait.
bar,
Okay.
yeah, on your front bar, the trait just run defending is what it's called.
All right. So
Let me catch up on chat here while you do
yep,
that.
yep.
So Harmony sounds like, oh yeah, yeah. If you don't run Nord, how hard is it to get to cap on a Nightblade tank or off meta tank? Robert, I guess that's kind of what we just went over. And you know what? I can actually pull my character up here because I actually have a couple. I don't know if you guys know this, but I have 4 Nightblades that I actually play. Let's close that, reopen it, just make sure everything's good.
Yeah, changing that to defending jumped me to 25. That jumped me 3K without the buffs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like 3,200. It's a lot, and that probably puts you close. I don't think I put you right there because it seems like you're pretty low.
Yeah, I was 22, but this is weird. Hold on. This
Yeah,
is
it's
not.
a little odd because we might have different gear on, but I could have sworn that I
Okay,
am higher.
31, 9
Okay,
plus the 13, so I'm right at 33.
okay. Another
But
aspect.
physically, sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Robert Harden says another aspect that there's 2 Roberts in chat, guys. So that's why another aspect needs to be talked about is heals per second plus overheal targets for healers. 100k, in my opinion, is not something you'll hit most of the time, but you should shoot for. Yeah, I think 80k is about what is like a good number to shoot for. But yeah, absolutely, uh, Robert. And we'll circle around to the healers here. It takes me a couple of weeks to do each build. Maybe we can do it faster, but absolutely, I'd love to talk more about that. Yeah, Harmony is just not as consistent as Infused. Yeah, absolutely. And then definitely ran into that even on non-DLC dungeons. Okay. Protective Jewelry. You can do Protective Jewelry, Robert. I do not recommend it. Generally speaking, Infused is just so much better, and you don't need it necessarily, so that's why. So let's take a look here. I don't have any gear on. Let me go put some on real quick. Sorry, Nani, were you saying something there before I mean to cut you
No,
off?
no, go ahead. I need just 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Okay, cool. All right, guys, so we're gonna take a look here. Let me see what we got that is Turning Tide. Maybe we can probably grab some Turning Tide that's reinforced. Looks like it. Oh, those are infused. Let me see. That's reinforced. Okay, cool. Now we just need some. We just need a monster set that is also appropriately reinforced. Do we have one? We don't. I have been leaving all my gear on one of my characters, so we'll be a little bit under there. I think we'll just have to live with it. We'll just make sure we get a couple of heavy pieces. We'll go with the Syncratus. Sounds fine to me. Cool, and then let's see what we're at. Turning Tide. I think we're missing... Do we get everything? Oh, no, we're missing our belt. Where's our belt? Uh-oh. Do I not have it? Hopefully I just didn't see it. There it is. Ah, it's 30. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, so this should put us, what are we at? About 20,000. Cool. We don't really actually need jewelry. And then if we're on our back bar, that's going to jump up from our CP here. Let's just double check that we've got fortified. We do. We've got bulwark. Excellent. And then proc the both minor and major resolve, and we can see we're at like 31. So running something like fortified brass would give us, that means we're about 2,000 under, almost exactly. And I believe fortified brass is going to be like 1,700. So if we went with a two-piece front bar staff, it's going to be, what is it? Front two-piece. I think it's like 1,500. So we'll still be a little bit under here. So we would want to go with the defending staff on our front bar to make sure that we're fully at cap there. And that's it. And then we can also, with that, you know, if we did that, we could run a other staff of a 5-piece set that is just defending on our front bar, and it would be totally fine. Now, is it better to run decisive and generate a little bit more ultimate? Yes, in the most optimal situation. Again, most groups, and I'll die on this hill, 99.9% of groups are not efficient with their ulti generation or with using ultimate, and so I just don't think it matters personally for 99.99% of people. And I can't tell you how many people too where this comes from that are ask me and are like, do I have to do this? Do I have to play with
I am
this
back.
particular class, or can I do, you know, can I play an Argonian tank? Can I play a whatever tank? And again, I just think the answer to that is on a, you know, objectively, yes, play whatever race you want. I just pulled up everything so I could get to the same place. How much did you say you were getting? So I got, before doing anything else, I think something still might be a little bit messed up, Nani, because I was getting to like 31,000. And I
That's
don't,
where I'm at now.
that's with the defending.
Yes. All right, let's
That's
take a look.
interesting because I'm at 31 too without defending. Do you want
I'm
to,
at 25 without defending.
well, with all the buffs?
Without the buffs. Sorry.
Oh,
I said that backwards.
something's like we can take a look later because I think something is not right. Maybe like are the champion points slotted?
Yes.
Okay, huh? I don't know what it would be. You're maxed out on your skill line
Yes.
for heavy armor, and you got all your passives there. Oh, I'm missing one.
Yes.
Okay, well something's not quite right because I'm on a dark elf here. So I'm also not getting anything from my racial traits as far as resistances are concerned. So
Okay.
I'll just have you stream for me like before the trial later on, and we
Okay.
can take a look. Does that sound good?
Sounds perfect. I'm going to have to go for tonight.
Okay. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. hmm
We'll,
Thank you, everybody. I will see you soon.
all right, we'll see you in a little bit. Yeah, I'm wondering what's going on, Barack. I'm not really sure what it is. Should you try to overcap resistances or hit 33k without buffs, Robert? I would say no. I would not do that. There's no reason. So like your buffs here, your major and minor resolve, no matter what class you're on, like it's gonna last for a pretty long time, and that's just part of your rotation. This is something that I think a lot of people don't understand, is that if you're on a tank or a healer, you still have a rotation. It's a dynamic rotation, which is why I like dynamic rotations just even on a DPS, but it is still a rotation, and just making sure you keep all of your buffs up is just part of like what you do. And then when you have extra time, you can do other things. So yeah, I wouldn't, especially major and minor resolve, like those are the two, major and minor resolve, and then wall of elements are like the main three things that you want to make sure you keep up after you keep taunt and don't die. So it's like keep taunt, don't die, and then those are the three main things that you really want to make sure you do. Also, don't look at this bar. I'm like leveling skills. All these skills in the back bar need to be leveled. Like I said, I actually have another character that is my actual tank, but this is my main, who's called Night Haro, and so he's got all the specs on him as well. And I just did that because I was like, it'd be fun. And I've tanked on him, in 2019 or whatever, a long time ago. Whenever ice staff tanking the first go around was a thing, so he had a lot of the skills already leveled and what have you. So yeah, um, I'm late. What sets are you running? All right, Barack. I just do want some gear, man. I'm not running anything important right now, but the sets are always the same. And typically on your main tank, you want Lucent Echoes, and on your front bar, or I'm sorry, 5 piece, and then you can back bar something like Saxleal. And then for the off tank, it's going to be Pearlescent Ward, always active, and then you can back bar Powerful Assault, man. Yeah, and then monster set, you always want to make sure you're full penetration. If you don't have like an Alkosh DPS or something, then you want to go with Tremor Scale on your main tank. Tremor Scale has to be taunted, and then yeah, monster set, usually something like Nazare is probably the second best one. There are a handful of others, but yeah, those are the go-to sets, man. Just take a look at the card, take a look at the website, and it should all be there for you. So yeah. Well, guys, if you got some more questions, guys, I'm happy to keep answering them here for us. We got another 25 minutes until the till the trial starts, so we're kind of just hanging out right now. Let me do this though. Let me buy real quick, and I'm gonna kick you guys on YouTube to an ad, and I will be right back, and then we can chat some more. So I fight with reality here to get the green screen where it needs to be. There we go. Oh. Did that do anything? Is it worse? Okay, there we go. We're good. We're good. Oh, that's funny. I'm kind of squeezed in here, guys. Let's run the trial to fight. Cool. Well, I think that we answered, I guess, everybody's questions here. Trying to think of what else could be useful for everyone. I'm not really sure what's going on, what Nani is missing. It seems like everything looks right for her, but she's saying she's way under what I am for these resistances here, and I don't know why that is. So we'll have to figure it out. Would be nice to just be able to craft armor without transmuting stones. I mean, yeah, that would be nice. Dude, for the longest time, we didn't even have that, man. I remember when I logged back on after taking a break for several years, when I came back, and this was shortly before I started streaming and started making content for ESO, I came back and all of my characters, like none of my gear, like I had spell power cure and whatever else was met at the time, but nothing was like traded because you would have to just run the content over and over again until it dropped in the trait you wanted. And I was just like, yeah, nah, I'm not doing that. No, no shot, no chance. No way. It's interesting too because as we were talking, I actually don't have reinforced on these two things, and that would be another 800. So that would actually put us at, what would that put us at? 3,200. Yeah, so just running fortified brass would put us over the cap, and we would be good. Speaking of, maybe we should just go craft that. Do I have fortified? I might have fortified brass here. Mechanical cutie, and that'll actually put us at cap. So I think Nani should still be able to run, and you guys should still be able to run decisive if you want more ulti gen. And I actually think that that's probably what I'll do here. Oh my gosh, my character's a little too fast. I think I have Wild Hunt on right now. So you know what? I might need to spec into some stuff real quick. What are we doing? We're doing woodworking. Yeah. So you should be able to do it and still run decisive or what have you. And the whole reason you do that, before the meta used to be on your front bar, and I can actually show you guys real quick. Actually, it used to be that the meta on your front bar was to, not necessarily the meta, but like one really good idea on your front bar was to run the Masters Ice Staff. And the Masters, this is a lightning staff, but it does basically the same thing. It reduces the cost of your destructive clinch by 10%. So that makes your taunt cheaper. And then it gives you weapon and spell damage for a few seconds. But since typically now we're not going to be in an optimized setting where you might be worried about it, you're going to be running. Oh, I'm just leveling this. You're going to be not running. Oh, no, it is. Inner Rage is the magic morph. Never mind. You're going to be running Inner Rage instead. And so you don't need that destructive clench is not going to do anything for you with running that ice staff. And so it's like, okay, well, what do I run? And again, I think, just running fortified brass right now will be totally fine and we'll get you there. I probably need to spec into this a little bit more, don't I? So hopefully, does that answer everybody's questions as far as, what to do to get to that resistance cap? Does anybody, I can jump on other characters, and I know it's a point that is, very confusing to a lot of people, understandably so. And I just want to make sure that everybody understands like how you can get to that cap and why it's not that big of a deal. Okay, cool. Fortified brass, a good set. Yeah, it's a great set to start out with, man. And we're using it just for the 2-piece bonus, Barack. I'm not sure if you caught that part, just to help us get to that resistance cap, and just because we don't have anything else on our front bar. What are these two? Okay, I don't actually need any of these. Never mind. I think I'm good. Cool. So I should be able to craft this now. Excellent. Make sure it's CP 160. That would be tragic. Should we make it in a fun style? This is my main. I could craft something. It's kind of fun to do with your weapons if you craft them in a particular style, and then you can hide or not hide it. And you can always have like a different options for your staffs. On some of my larger characters, I try to go with like the giant set from Kind's Aegis is like appropriately large for a tank, because I hate it when you're like, oh, I'm a tank with an ice staff, and you're like, ice staff is like really small. Okay, I think that we'll go with decisive. I'm trying to think if there's a compelling reason to go with anything else. Certainly we don't need defending or anything like that. Are these all these? I should have a lot more styles than this. I don't know what's. Are these really all the ice staff styles I know? Doesn't feel like that many. I do like the Khajiit. The Khajiit staff is pretty cool. We might just go with that. Would you build as defensive as possible to start and then slowly remove some? Can you be a little bit more specific by what you mean with defensive, Robert? I think there's a couple different contexts there where I could give you an answer, and I'm not exactly sure which one you're thinking of. Generally speaking, you don't need to, when you see those like unkillable builds, this will like you can stand there and not block those type of builds. Nobody needs that unless you. I don't think anybody needs that. I would even question that someone who maybe has like a serious issue, like truly, oh man, where's one of these makes it cheaper to upgrade? Oh, it's this one. Okay. There we go. I'm not really worried about the lower level mats, but the gold mats we might need. Where is it at? So generally speaking, I just wouldn't go with those things. If you just make the thing with a healer and a tank is that, people think, oh, I need to increase my max heals on a healer, maybe if you're new. And a lot of people think the same thing I think you're asking is like, should I try to make my tank even more tanky if, oh, the two-piece bonus is now health? Has that always been the case? Am I crazy? Oh my gosh. Well, I feel bad. I that we got to do something else with it. The two-piece bonus should be defending. Oh no. Oh no, we got to make something else. Oh well, you know what I could just do is just like pick something from here and just recraft it. Oh man, oh, I feel like such a dork. Um, that's kind of what I mean. Running as much defensive CP and gear traits as possible to learn. You kind of set everything up the way it should be, and you don't really need to change it. So running like Duelist for buff to reduce your damage taken by 3%, Enduring Resolve, and what have you. You don't really need to change that. Just put that in, and then Bulwark. Honestly, I typically just leave it in. But yeah, you don't really need to change anything as you advance as a tank because you can build and already be tanky enough while focusing primarily on buffing the group. And again, it's the same deal with healers. You can heal more than you need to without having to focus on doing more raw heals as a healer and still focusing on buffing the group. I will also note, guys, and I've mentioned this many times before, but probably the most underutilized CP in the game is particularly for tanks, but also could be for healers, is and solo. So really everybody in some circumstances is foresight up here. Foresight, whenever you drink a potion, it reduces the cost of your magic and stamina healing abilities, so all healing abilities, by 75% for 6 seconds. That means that you can cast 4 heals for the price of 1. This basically means that you can, and you just drink a potion to do it, so you're going to have resources. It means you can spam heals, just blast heals on yourself or somebody else. This is amazing for places like Sunspire whenever you're trying to heal people out of tombs. It's a game changer there. It's also really good for, it could be good for Cloud Rest is another place it could be good for. And if you're a tank, this is good for any place, or a DPS, any place where you're going to be taking a lot of damage, particularly in a short period of time. Drink a potion and then spam heals on yourself for the next 6 seconds and not have to worry about running low on magic or stamina. I also use this and I've used this in Dreadcell Reef on the first boss oftentimes, and you can use it to keep up Powerful Assault, which is a heal, stamina heal, and proc Powerful Assault, the set, on your group without having to run out of stamina while you're doing something very challenging and very difficult. Now, oftentimes it's better to run these CP that reduce your damage taken. However, there is situations where you could swap it out and this would be better to run. So keep that in mind. It's amazing for your sustain if you're trying to keep yourself alive. I've done a video on this, like nobody watched it, but I've done a video talking about it. I must not have titled it and thumbnailed it good enough. Do you recommend starting off with staff tanking? Robert, I don't. I don't think, whatever you want to do, it really depends on the class. It really depends on your spec. I know that like Hyper and other people will say just start off staff tanking. There's nothing wrong with sword and board tanking. I say that. I would recommend if you're new, start with a sword and board. That's what I'd recommend. I would start with it. You need some way of getting back stamina whenever you don't have any because you've been holding block for too long or something else has been going on. So being able to heavy attack and get back stamina is, I highly recommend that actually for a new tank. Absolutely. Yeah, I want to say that. Noni didn't have to do that. The 1-bar tank build does not do that, but there are reasons for that it makes it, there are no stamina costing abilities on that build. And so the only thing you're using stamina for is the block. And so it works. Most 2-bar builds and stuff like that, and even then if you're just perma blocking because you're scared, you're going to want to, And the other thing about that is that using a sword and board and using that to heavy attack to get back resources teaches you and in some ways forces you to learn when you can do that, when you can heavy attack. And that just objectively is good. So, there's, yeah. Nothing wrong with that. You know what? Now I need to look and find just like some set that has like a two-piece defensive bonus. I don't know if it's like worth worth googling this or you know, resistances. Does anybody know of a set like off the top of their head that does that? I guess we could try trial sets. Start there, and then can I tell it heavy? Yeah, we could tell it heavy. It doesn't actually have to be heavy, but I feel like they're more likely to have. Oh, here it is. I mean, there's one. Okay, so we could. Uh, oh, it's Eternal Warrior. Maybe we can find something else because that's not going to have an ice staff. What else do we have here? I'm just looking. Did you guys see how this has armor? 1400 armor there. That's all I'm looking for is something with armor as the first base trait. If anybody knows off the top of their head, the passive pool was nice, and also major minor resolve on tap. I enjoyed necro tanking, not as much as DK. Yeah. Necro tanking is, you know, the reason I really like necro tanking is that you can just necro res is a game changer. You can carry groups through content. I have carried groups through content with it, and it's so fun. You feel like a hero, and it just increases everybody's enjoyment. And I know that some people forget this sometimes, but the whole point of the game is to have fun. And so, you know, it's a great thing to have. What do we got? Sanity's Edge? Do I have? I don't have the ice staff here. No. Okay. Well, that would be nice. What else do we have here? Man, it kills me that I said that. I could have sworn that fortified brass was all armor. I guess I just either remembered it wrong or I don't imagine they've changed it. I was probably remembering wrong. Well, oh man, there's so many different sets here. Can we go with destructions? Okay, it doesn't really matter. I don't know what this is doing up here. Was it just showing me things that had heavy armor? I'm not really sure. Here's another one that I don't have the ice staff for. Oh man. Any of them, somewhere. Here's another one. Also don't have the ice staff. Let me see what else we got. EC, that's not going to do it. What else? Shipwright's Regret. No luck. No dice. Adept Rider? Okay. Oh man, is that like a PvP set? I remember this. Is it called something else? It's not popping up. No one used to touch ice staff. Not everyone wants it. Yeah. Oh, Torix Pact. That's another crafted set. Oh my gosh. Thanks, Vin. Jeez. Oh man. I could make a joke about something that a monkey would be trying to do right now, but I will leave it. Do we have that here? No. I thought we had Torix. Oh, is it behind me? No, Order's Wrath. Oh, these were Toroks, right? Hundings. Huh. I could have sworn that I guess we don't have Torx back. You know where we'll have it. Another guild. I think we actually need to hop over right now. Oh, Adept Renner's crafted also. That's why it's not popping up for me. Okay, cool. You know, guys, there are only like 650 sets in the game, and I'm sorry that I don't have them all memorized. I appreciate you guys helping me out. Yeah, we got five minutes till this trial. Let me. I'm just checking over to see what I'm gonna be doing. Yeah, so many. There's, you know, some of that stuff. It's like Zos, guys, come on. You're making the game more difficult when I'm trying to do these build videos and I've got to talk about 3 different kinds of taunts. It's like, and it's like, yeah, you know, sure, I could just tell you to use one thing, but look at this taunt. It's invisible. There's nothing. So like, in content, you can't even see it. It's like a ripple in the air, you know? And it's like, oh man, how, like, you don't want to tell a new person to use this as their taunt. Like, they're just not going to be able to see it. It's not going to go well. Oh man. All right. Well, I will have to pop back on here at a. Oh, I'm in comment. I will have to pop back on at a later date and make that staff because I think I'm actually healing this group, so I just need to pop over onto my healer that should be all ready to go. So let me put all this stuff back in the bank. I can't believe I golded out this fortified brass ice staff. Oh man. You know, one of the things too that I hear about a lot of people is like, oh, well, you don't have to, you should make the gear you're going to use at the sweatiest of sweaty end games. That way you don't have to remake the gear, because like, oh, you're going to like save a buck on gear. I have friends who they've quit ESO now, but a lot of people, and actually I know a lot of people that do this, but they get tired of dealing with all the sets in their bank and everything, and they will literally decon the stuff they're not currently using, and they will make stuff to go run one trial, and then when they're done, they'll just decon it, and they because they have so much money and they have so much materials that it just doesn't matter to them, so they'll literally do that, and it's funny that it's like, oh, when you get into the sweaty end game, well, when you get to the sweaty end game, you'll have so much material and mats and everything that it literally doesn't matter. All right, thanks, Vince. I appreciate it. And yeah, we're gonna stream that, guys. What I'm gonna do is kick everybody over on YouTube, and then of course, as usual on Steam, we stay streaming. Let me just update the stream info though over on Twitch. What are we doing? We are, I think, we'll call this Friday Fun with Noni. Yeah, and then we'll say, what are we doing? We are arc healing. By the way, I meant to update and fix my arc healer because I was having problems with sustain, which is a very solvable problem, and I haven't actually messed with them now, so I'll have to do that hopefully before our next little chat, I guess. The next time we are going into some content so that I can test it out really well. I'm just setting this up on YouTube, guys. Guys, on YouTube, it should kick you over. I know there's a lot of people dropping into chat right now. It should kick you over to the next stream, which I will immediately start. It doesn't always do it, okay? So you know where to find me on YouTube, but it takes like, maybe 20 or 30 seconds for YouTube to get with the program, but I'll technically end this stream and I'll immediately be jumping over to the other one, so we'll see you in just a second.